So far, the council's still at North London Business Park, so no, we're still there. And we have a lease with the people there. Without going into too much detail of our contract with them, we still have a lease, and we haven't gone anywhere. I don't know how long the lease is, but it's still for some more years yet. What we've done with our accommodation across Barnet, we had, I think, 17 different offices and locations, from the town hall to different buildings around Hendon, to Mill Hill, all over from the Barnet House, and we consolidated most of our staff in an LPP. So if they built houses tomorrow, we'd have nowhere for the staff. So it would be a long process, that's what I'm trying to say. Secondly, in the current economic climate, I don't think many people are coming forward to build large amounts of houses. So I think if nothing else, that will probably put any plans or any plan that anyone had, particularly the owner, off for a few more years or many years to come. We had £27.4 million on deposit, as I'm sure you all have bank accounts and you have money on deposit as well. It's exactly the same as us. Why do we have so much money? We're £1 billion a year organisation. We always have money. We have money through the collection of rates, through particularly the non-domestic rates, business rates that people pay us. They're paid each month. We pay them to the Treasury once a quarter. So we always have money. But it's not money that we can just use to pay for something, to pay for anything we want. It's there and it has to be spent on something specific. So that's why we have the money, first of all. Second thing is we had a bit more money because we're engaging in something called the Primary Schools Capital Investment Programme. The government refused to give us any money at all. They said our schools were good enough, but we didn't feel they were. So what we've done, we've looked at selling off some parcels of land for development and using that money to put it back into the schools and building them in a different way on the same pieces of land. So it's not selling off all the land. And what we did, we knew that we were going to start the work in about 2008 now, which is currently undertaking 2 schools, Whiting and East Barnet School. And so what we did, we borrowed when the interest rates were pretty much level. And we thought that they would be going up. And that was a good idea at the time. And so we borrowed at a good interest rate, and we took the money, knowing we're going to use it in 2 years' time, and we put it on deposit. So we put it on for 2 years. Now, people say, why did we put it on with Iceland and not a UK bank? The simple reason is, it wasn't enough money for a UK bank. They wanted more. They said that's not enough money for us to deal with. So we looked around, and in total we have 31 different banks we have money on deposit with at any one time. Now we went for them because the Treasury said they were AAA rating, nothing wrong with them, invest with them with confidence, not a problem. That came straight from the Treasury. And we were advised by the Treasury this was a good thing to do at the time. So we did it in good hope and faith that this was the best way forward, not only for the people of Barnet, but also to achieve things, including the interest that we earned, provided the library service. It also resurfaced pavements and roads across the borough, and it also helped prop up the planning service. So it provided all these services without costing us a penny through the interest. So recently people said, why couldn't you take the money out quickly? Well, simply because when the Icelandic banks went to the wall, they went within hours. And I had a colleague at work who had money within them. Yes, they did go within hours, and they went very quickly. But secondly, we had it on deposit for a fixed term of 2 years, which meant we couldn't take it out. You can't suddenly turn around and say, we want our money back, because you lose a huge amount of interest. So that's where we are now. In regard to whether we get the money back, there's been some changes with the Icelandic banks now, where of the 2 banks we invested with, they've been split into 4 banks. And at first we were told we weren't a preferred creditor, which meant we weren't going to get our money back. But after some skillful negotiation through the council and some of our financial officers, we've now been declared a preferred depositor. So we are at the top of the list rather than at the bottom. We are very hopeful. We've recently had some information, which I won't go too far tonight. We have some information that we're very hopeful of getting all our money back. In regards to using any of the anti-terrorist legislation for things like putting your bin out on the wrong day, putting the wrong recycling out, or letting your dog mess the pavement in their places, we do not do any of that. Yes. The only times where we would use any kind of investigative methods, techniques, or whatever, would be in cases of fraud. That doesn't mean getting into schools if you don't live in the area. It means fraud, housing benefit, business fraud, that kind of thing. We are looking at how we provide all our services. Now the reason we're doing that is because we can't go on as we are. To do nothing is simply not an option for us. And people say, well, doesn't it mean loads of jobs are going to be lost? If we carry on as we are, that will mean that more jobs are most likely to be lost locally. Because the amount of money that we get from the government is decreasing proportionally year on year on year. So we are looking at the future shape, known as the future shape of the council. It could mean privatisation for some services. It could mean providing some more of the services in-house, like our refuse service, for example. We're completely open-minded. The report went to Cabinet to start the initial investigation last week. It goes to Cabinet scrutiny tomorrow night, and that's when other members of the council will scrutinise it to say, well, how will this work, how will that work? And then from that, it will be taken forward, and we'll be asking consultants to engage with us to look at the options available to us and what they would mean to the council, particularly to the residents, most importantly, and also to Barnet as a whole. We feel that the figures were wrong. We wanted the government to look at it again, but they decided they weren't going to do that, and that we felt we were shortchanged. It didn't mean we were shortchanged just for that year. We were shortchanged for every year after that. The government look at indices of deprivation, for example, and they look at other population figures and other bits and pieces, and they say Barnet's in a relatively good state, so you don't need as much money as, for example, well, not only Tower Hamlets, but also outside of London as well. We're a net exporter of money from London, particularly, and the South East, to councils up north, where the money's just going straight. We mulch it up anyway, so it's not a problem. But if it's a case you feel it's a bit too untidy or something, I just put my top box on top. But if you don't feel you want to do that, then just let it get wet.